Oh, since we're good. All right, so we are live now. We're doing this hangout. Really quick for you. Just wanted to come to you here to share with you some cool things. My name is Bill Pescosolido, and the reason that I'm doing this hangout today with my good buddy Adam Chandler, who's on here with me. Say hello, Adam.
Hello.
We've got a really cool webinar coming up, and so before we talk to you about the webinar, we want to talk to you a little bit about Adam and what he's been doing lately from a marketing standpoint and why this is so cool for you. So before we really go any further, I did want to introduce to you Adam Chandler. So you probably know who Adam Chandler is if you've been around the home business space or in the internet marketing space for the last 3 or 4 or 5 or even 7 years. There's a good chance that you know Adam and that you've seen some of his work. You've seen him on stage teaching or coaching. But in case you didn't, this is Adam Chandler. He's a great guy. He's one of the all-time producers within one of the top affiliate marketing platforms that exists today within our space. In 2014, Adam actually became the #1 producer within his primary business opportunity. He's been full-time in the home-based business industry and a full-time entrepreneur for the last 7 years, which is quite a long time if you think about it. Within our industry, we kind of live, it's kind of like dog years. So, 7 years within, internet marketing or home-based business, that's kind of like 35 years for anything, normal that we would consider. And he has generated over 30,000 leads online profitably. Which is a pretty big deal when you think about what that means for his business and what that can mean potentially for your business. So without further ado, Adam Chandler, welcome.
Hey, thanks so much, Bill. And yeah, I really appreciate you having me on here, sharing some of my value with your audience.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure, and Michelle and I are both happy to have you here. Happy to kind of formally introduce you to our crew and to our audience, to our list of people. And I want to dive in here because the topic that we're going to talk about today for you is Twitter specifically and Twitter marketing. And if you don't know already, Adam is just crushing it with Twitter. He's really become one of the foremost authorities on marketing with Twitter. I know that he's definitely coached and trained and taught on this subject several different times. Actually, people have invited him to speak, on different platforms and on stages to educate their own audience. So, Adam, obviously, you know a lot about Twitter. You're on the cutting edge right now. You basically have like your finger on the pulse of Twitter right now. And I guess my first question to you is, how did you get involved with Twitter? How did that kind of start?
Yeah, awesome, Billy. It's funny how I got started on Twitter. Actually, I did when I first joined, home business. When I first got started in my first company, I started a coaching program, and with these 2 top producers, and they encouraged. They were doing a lot of stuff with Twitter at the time, and they basically showed us some stuff to do to build our audience. And I actually went from 0 to 10,000 followers on Twitter in my first 90 days, and just manually, not using any tools, because I'm going to be talking about some of the tools I use to automate the majority of this stuff. But I did it manually, just being very consistent every single day, going in there, following hundreds of people a day, and some of them would follow me back, and just I went from 0 to 10,000 followers in 3 months, just being really consistent. And then from there, I built my following up to about 30,000 followers. And then I got kind of frustrated with the results that I was getting on Twitter, and I just said, screw this, I'm not going to do this anymore. and I kind of neglected my audience of 30,000 followers that I had built up for a period of about 3 years. and then kind of towards the end of last year, I was like, you know what? I have this asset. I've got this audience of 30,000 on Twitter. I don't know how many of them are even still active, but at least it makes me look good. At least at least I have, I'm perceived as an authority over there because I have 30,000 followers. I'm like, I should probably do something with that. Try and re-engage some of the people that are still active on there, and then leverage the asset that I had. And then from there, I actually built it to just in the last few months, I built it from 30,000 to about 65,000, which is where I'm currently at in my Twitter audience, just by doing some of this stuff that we're going to be talking about. So that's kind of how I got started, was 0 to 10,000, and then 10 to 30, and now 30 to 65.
Interesting. So
yeah.
65,000 Twitter followers. I mean, that to me just sounds like that's a ton of people, and it sounds like that's how that translates to your business. There's a ton of potential there. So without going into maybe specific detail on how you're doing all this, because we'll get to that a little later here in a bit, but 65,000 people that are following you on Twitter. So why Twitter? Like, what does that mean? And how are you, I guess, why Twitter? How are you getting results from that right now? Or what kind of results are you getting with those 65?
Sure. So, the question, why Twitter, I mean, Twitter is, it's funny because some people kind of see Twitter as kind of silly. They're like, really noisy, and it's true, but I mean, all social media is like that, but so, Twitter is the 14th most trafficked website on the internet. So just the fact that it's in the top 20 most trafficked websites on the internet, says a lot about the traffic potential that you can get right on Twitter. And I also find Twitter is a lot less restrictive, and that's probably the number one reason why I like Twitter, is because it's so much less restrictive. I'm now using some of these tools that we'll talk about later to follow about 1,000 people a day, which you just can't do that on other platforms. You can't do that on Facebook, right? So I'm getting hundreds of new followers every single day on Twitter, and Twitter also it integrates with a lot of other tools that I use to automate literally 95% of the process, and that's another reason why I really like Twitter. It's less restrictive, and because it integrates with tools that can really automate and do a lot of the heavy lifting for you, so that you don't have to be very even active on it. I hardly ever even log into Twitter.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're saying you're not having to sit there and like manually tweet out all your tweets. If you say had 10 tweets a day, you're not physically being the guy tweeting.
No. I mean, it's a little bit of setup. Setup in the beginning using some of these tools, but once you have it set up, it's like set it and forget it kind of thing.
Cool. Yep. Cool. So then for you, obviously you're a marketer, you run your own business, and you're now utilizing Twitter as a platform, a social media platform for you to build and expand your business. Talk to us a little bit and share with our audience here a little bit about some of the results that you've gotten from Twitter.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, I went from, when I decided to re-engage Twitter, I went from about 30,000 followers to where I'm at now, which is about 65,000, in the past, maybe 4 or 5 months. And from that, I probably average, a couple hundred new followers a day, right? And I actually have kind of a systematic approach that I use to turn those new followers into new leads in my business. So just from that aspect of it, like I have an automated tweet that goes out to all of my new followers, that it sends them to my capture page, and I get 5 to 10 leads a day just from that aspect of it alone. And that's just from turning my new followers into new leads, about 5 to 10 a day just from that one automation feature alone. So it's like, you get a couple hundred people. It's a lot of people are going to ignore that message, right? A lot of people are going to ignore it. A lot of people are going to see it and they're not going to be intrigued enough to click, but some of them are. And it's like when you have numbers that are that big, then you only need a few of the people to take the action you want them to take, and to get to turn a couple hundred new followers into 5 to 10 new leads, every single day. And then so that's one aspect of it. And then the other aspect of it is how I tap into the existing audience and get them to visit my blog posts and engage and do other things. But I would say probably between the automated direct message that goes out to my new followers, plus what I'm doing to get in, to send my existing followers to my blog posts and capture pages and everything, it's probably resulted in about 15 to 25 leads a day on pretty much, I would say 95% autopilot, for free for the last several months, very, very consistently.
So that's 15 to 25 leads a day?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it sounds like to me, when done right, and when obviously, you know what you're doing at this point, and you've got, obviously you have a handful of automation tools in place as well.
Yeah.
So when it's done right, Twitter can be a platform to not only directly generate leads for you, so contribute directly towards your incoming lead flow, but also indirectly, and it can then directly serve to expand your brand. So, if I'm getting you correctly, just through your Twitter activity or your your automated Twitter activity, you're getting more visitors to your blog. And obviously, we all know that if you've got a blog, there's going to be content there, certain calls to action, banner ads, or what have you. Everyone's blog's a little bit different, but we all get what the point of that blog is. So it's just getting more eyeballs to your blog. So then indirectly, we might be talking, in addition to the direct 5 to 10 leads a day, indirectly up to 25 leads a day, and this is 95% on autopilot.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was actually one thing that I wanted to do. I was like, I started asking myself, because I'm not an SEO guy. I used to do SEO, but I really don't like it, and I stopped doing SEO years ago. And I have almost 400 different blog posts, that I've created over the years. And I'm like, most of these blog posts are just sitting out there in, no man's land, not getting any visitors to them. And it's good content that I've created over the years, so it's like,
right.
So I started asking my question, how can I repurpose this content, or how can I get people in front of this content? And that was, this is kind of the answer that I came up with was Twitter. And now I'm getting people seeing these posts and seeing my content on a very regular basis from Twitter, even though I'm not doing any search engine optimization. So I'm not getting any traffic from Google, but I'm getting a ton of traffic to my blog from Twitter.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I know that there's paid advertising options with Twitter, like you can get into paid Twitter ads. Are you doing that as well, or is this primarily organic?
Yeah, no, everything that we're talking about here has been organic. Like the 15 to 25 leads a day. That's been all of the free stuff. It's not including any pay per click. Sometimes when I'm doing launching a new thing, or participating in somebody else's launch, I will do some Twitter paid ads, but it's not something that I do consistently. So as of right now, I'm not doing any paid advertising on Twitter at this moment now.
Okay, gotcha. Wow. Yeah. So then for those of you in our audience who like the idea of not having to pay for all this exposure and pay for the traffic and pay to get more eyeballs to your blog, this is obviously this is going to be appealing to you if that's something that you want to obviously minimize costs and minimize overhead expenses. So this is fascinating to me. It really is, because I look at Twitter. I use Twitter we both, Michelle and I both use Twitter. I have a Twitter account, and I'm tweeting stuff out, and we have like a little bit of automation, not nearly to the extent that you have. So I'm excited to learn from you, just from my own personal business uses. But I think that a lot of times when we in general think of Twitter, or at least when I think of Twitter, the first thing I think of is, the professional athlete who tweeted something, and then maybe they say like, oh, my account got hacked and the tweet's deleted, or whatever, or, Kim Kardashian tweeted something and now the world is, oh my God, they're all up in arms, or they're more informed about Kim Kardashian hair. But anyway, I think that there's kind of this misconception maybe that it's meant for professional athletes and, just famous people to just kind of tweet their activity in their life.
Sure.
But obviously that's not the case for you and for us here with how this applies to us. So tell me maybe a bit about maybe some of the misconceptions that people might have about Twitter and why they really do need it right now for their business.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So like I mentioned earlier, I do think that a lot of people, they kind of see Twitter as kind of silly and and really noisy, and it is. There's no doubt about it. It is. But I mean, you know, just like a lot of other social media platforms, you have to rise above the noise, and I do that through. I mean, we can talk later about, you know, how different ways that I do that. But I, you know, those are some big ones that, you know, Twitter is, you know, it's like the news feed moves so fast. It's a lot of, you know, just people, you know, posting stupid stuff. And yeah, of course, there's definitely plenty of that, but it can, you know, it is extremely targeted. You can target some very specific, you know, niches of people. And you know, if you know how to do it right, it could be a tremendous asset, you know, for any business, for sure.
Okay, cool. So the reason why, as I mentioned earlier, the reason why that, you know, we're having this little hangout here right now is because you're going to be doing a webinar for our audience coming up, and that's on Thursday, May 19th. I believe that's the day we decided on.
Yeah.
Right. I hope I have that right. So Thursday, May 19th. So mark your calendars. Thursday, May 19th at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Adam here is going to be doing a live Twitter training. And this is going to be slightly different than maybe what you've experienced in the past. It's actually going to be a paid webinar. And the reason why it's going to be a paid webinar is because there are some other marketers out there right now who are doing similar trainings that Adam will be doing for you, but they're creating a course and they're charging hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a course. So you could buy a Twitter course for, you know, $397 or $297, and you're going to get exactly the same content as what Adam's going to share with you this coming, or actually in a few Thursdays, on Thursday, May 19th, depending upon when you're seeing this video right here, Thursday, May 19th. So the difference here is that we're going to do a paid webinar, and this is going to be $37, right? So for the small investment of $37, you're going to get a full-on Twitter training that Adam's going to deliver, and it's going to be basically the same as if you had purchased a full-on Twitter course from someone else. The difference being that Adam is doing this right now within his business. As you've heard, he's already generating passively and on autopilot, you know, is up to, you know, sometimes 30 leads a day, right? 30 leads a day. That's over 200 leads a week for his business that he's generating. And so, Adam, when our people show up on Thursday the 19th for this webinar, tell us a little bit about what they're going to learn and why they should attend this.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So basically, I mean, I'm going to really open up the whole playbook. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing, exactly, you know, the exact tools that I'm using, as well as, you know, kind of the intricate details of some of these tools that can really make a big difference, like that I've learned really through a lot of trial and error, so that you don't have to make some of the same mistakes that I've made, you know, kind of figuring this stuff out along the way. So I'm going to go into detail about how I use those tools to create a lot of this automation, and then I'm actually going to go into this new tool that I've been using. I've never taught this publicly before. I've never shared it on any, you know, I've shared some of this stuff on other trainings that I've done with people, but I've never actually done, you know, this is kind of my top secret, like my secret weapon that I've never shared before. I'm going to be taking you into exactly, you know, that tool and how I'm using it, and how it's really just skyrocketing my, you know, my engagement and my traffic, and you know, like I said, never before taught that specific tool or shared it publicly in any way whatsoever. And then also when you get the, you know, when you hit the, you know, when you take action, when you purchase, you know, to join us on Thursday the 19th for this very in-depth, you know, webinar, you're also going to get my 101 social media success quotes. So it's basically a resource that I put together, where because I've found that one, you know, and I'm not going to get too deep into training here, but, you know, part of you know, building, you know, driving traffic and building an engaged audience on Twitter, you know, is about providing value. And one of the ways that we provide a lot of value is through success quotes, especially in home business, because people really resonate with personal development stuff. Mm-hmm. So and frequency is also really important on Twitter. So you're going to actually have 101 success quotes that you're going to get as a free resource that you can start using in conjunction with what I'm going to be sharing with you on the webinar to really hit the ground running with this stuff, so that you can really start to create an engaged audience, start providing a lot of value to the audience from day one, so that they seek you out, so that they go deeper into your world, and so that they, and so that they pay more attention when you do make offers and send them to, your blog posts and your capture pages and all that stuff. So going to be really just A to Z exactly what I'm doing. I'm not going to hold anything back on this webinar. I'm going to share exactly what I'm doing to get the results that I'm getting, so that you can model and duplicate my results.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. That's really cool, in fact. So I guess as I'm kind of processing this in my head, I'm seeing so it's a paid webinar that we're conducting here for our audience. So it's $37. Now, if you think about that, $37, that's like an entree out at dinner nowadays. You go to a restaurant, that's one entree, right? Maybe one entree and a glass of wine or a beer, right? So for the price of a dinner or a meal, you're going to get world-class training on what in any other scenario would be really a full-on $200 or $400 course that you have to buy. That would be a recorded course that does not involve really any live interaction, does not involve any Q&A or anything like that. What we're going to do is a live webinar that will be, to a certain extent, interactive as well. There'll be Q&A at the end. We'll be fielding questions throughout. So it's going to be very hands-on. And this is not going to be just like a short webinar either. It's not going to be just some like 30-minute thing. And at the end, you're thinking, this is going to be a full-on webinar. We're going to go as long as it takes, answer everyone's questions at the end. And you're going to get really in-depth training on what is one of the most major social media platforms that exist today. So this is very important in regards to your building your business. It's important for lead generation. It's important for you to really understand how this platform works. And there's no one better than I can think of right now who's doing it today than Adam Chandler, who's going to be your instructor for this. So here's what we want you to do right now. There's a link somewhere here to register. Basically just register for the webinar right now. Take action, register for that webinar. You're going to get Adam's 101 success quotes that you'll be able to start tweeting those out. And once you learn also the automation, the different tools that Adam is going to show on the webinar, those will just be in rotation. So your content, 101 success quotes, different images, you can have those on rotation, so that, as Adam said, 95% of his Twitter activity is automated, right? So meaning that he's sitting back, sleeping in the morning or, sucking down cocktails, and his Twitter account is working for him and generating leads for him. So that's basically what we're all striving for, from a social media platform, to have it basically working for us, so we can, enjoy what we want to do with our life. So here's what you got to do. Again, click on the registration link. It's Thursday, May 19th at 9 p.m. Eastern. And Adam, any final thoughts here?
Yeah, one last thing is that, I really see one of the biggest things I see where home business owners struggle is that they are not perceived as an authority, right? And if when you are perceived as an authority, it becomes just so much easier to recruit people and to make sales. And when you're not perceived as an authority, it's very, very difficult, right? And having a large audience on Twitter, like even if you did nothing else, like let's say you don't let's say you don't use any of the stuff that I teach you to drive any traffic or anything, but all you do is just build your audience. I mean, how much different do you think just your business building, would be if someone sees that you have 30,000 followers on Twitter or just 10,000? It creates instant authority. You become perceived as an instant authority in the minds of your prospects. And that's why, and in building a large audience, there's no easier platform to do it on than Twitter. And that's one of the, you know, major benefits that you're going to get out of this, is so that you can build an authority. And that is when this game completely changes, when you are perceived as an authority. And of course you will, you know, we're going to teach you, you know, all the best stuff from A to Z, however long it takes. We're going to do Q&A. And of course you're also going to get lifetime access to the recordings as well.
That's fantastic. And, you know, it's interesting. Obviously, Michelle and I, our main social media outlet is, you know, and has been Facebook.
Yep.
And just so our audience knows, this is not a sign that we're leaving Facebook or anything like that. We're still obviously, you know, going wholeheartedly forward with Facebook and doing what we've always been doing for the last, you know, 5 or 6 years. But it's always good to have another arrow in your quiver, right? It's always good to have another platform to get, you know, to expose yourself to and to build an even larger audience. You know, right now, for example, for me on Twitter, because I'm relatively just starting out with it from a business standpoint, my following is very small. I maybe have 2,000 or 3,000 people following, which, you know, standing next to Adam's 60,000, you know, that obviously is small potatoes. However, some of you might look at that and say, wow, you have 3,000 or 2,000, 3,000 people. That's huge. I have none, or I have, you know, 17. Well, it doesn't matter where you are right now. So whether you have 0 Twitter followers, whether you have tweeted 0 times at all, maybe you haven't even, you know, tweeted your first tweet yet, which sounds weird to say, tweeted your tweet, or you have 5,000 or 10,000, or you have, you know, 50,000. So wherever you are right now with your Twitter game, you know, wherever you are with your Twitter marketing, what Adam's going to share with you is going to just ratchet that up and scale it up and get you to a point where you can get fully on autopilot and generate, you know, upwards of 30 leads per day. Be perceived as an authority, you know, online, which is, as Adam said, is enormous. And, you know, let me remind you of what you probably already know. Social media is not going anywhere, right? Social media is not going away, and you need to have basically another arrow in your quiver. You need to have ammo in your gun. Excuse, you know, all these references, but you know, I'm not a wartime kind of guy. But you need to have these tools, and you need to be armed in the right way and equipped in the right way to use them. So definitely right now, register below, take action, join us Thursday, May 19th at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be an amazing training. It's obviously a very modest price. There is a, you know, satisfaction guarantee. So if for some reason you attend the webinar, but for whatever reason you're like, it wasn't what I expected or what I thought, you know, we have an ironclad guarantee. We'll refund you your money if you're not 100% satisfied with the information that Adam's going to be delivering to you. So there's literally 0 risk for you right now. There's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't. Just register right now. Attend on Thursday the 19th. I can't wait for this. I'm super excited. Like I said, Adam's the foremost authority right now within our space that I know. I don't know of anyone else right now who's doing it better than Adam is right now. So we are very excited about this, and can't wait to see you on the webinar.
Yeah, see you there.
Cool. All right. See you guys.